Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page, where I do a daily live stream around the Oracle card, the divination card that I draw in the morning. The card helps us to understand the kind of energy that's flowing today that's most important for us to know about. And it also is the spark to a spiritual conversation. So welcome. Today is Wednesday, February 20th. And as you can tell, I am broadcasting from the meditation room again. And the reason why is because it's been snowing here in Tomah, Wisconsin since before 6 a.m. this morning. And it's still coming down. It's not lightening up. It's not, I think we're supposed to get like 6 or 8 inches out of this one. And so I just decided, I decided yesterday, just in case, I brought part of the studio with me, my microphone and camera and that sort of thing. So here we are in the meditation room, broadcasting the daily live stream show. Yay. All right. So before we get rolling, I'm going to like and share the show from my phone. And I invite you to do the same if you wouldn't mind, because it helps us to reach more people, number one. And number two, it helps those people who are looking for talk shows that have a spiritual content to them. And they're seekers. You remember what that was like, right? When you first started out awake on your spiritual journey, you were like a sponge, I bet, right? Because I read everything. I listened to everything I could get my hands on that felt good to me. And so by sharing and liking, we're actually helping somebody maybe find the information that they're seeking. So I'm going to share it over to my newsfeed and just let my friends know that I'm live streaming again and to join us. And then please join. There we go. There. It doesn't take long, especially when you got those quick keys on your phone. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking at us on my phone, and I have to say, I really like this backdrop. It's a Pendleton blanket that Paul and I hung up, several years ago. Because when we first moved in, no, I guess it wasn't when we first moved in. It had to have been, like 3 or 4 years after we moved in. I was doing some video recording, and I wanted to have, this room doesn't have any windows, and it's a lot of wall space in here. And so the sound can get kind of echoey. And so I was trying to, put something up so that I can absorb some of the sound. And so that's why this got put up. And I liked it so much, I just left it there. It's called Elders, I believe, and it's a Pendleton. If I kind of get out of the way, you can see the sacred hoop there. And at the time, my personal business was called Sacred Hoop. So it kind of matched. Yeah. Lots of snow right now. Yeah. A lot of people are getting really tired of shoveling. Let's see who's in the chat. Hey, Barbie's here. Hello, Barbie. Good to have you here. And Rochelle is here. She says, today is my sister's birthday. Wow. I have not seen Lydia since 1989. Have tried to find her to no avail. Aw. Well, I hope you do find her, Rochelle. I hope you do. She's not on Facebook, huh? A lot of people get found that way. Hey, Christine, one of my sisters. Howdy to you too, Christine. Oh, good. Thank you, Rochelle, for sharing. I appreciate that. Let's scroll up a little bit here. There. Excellent. And Stephanie's at it. She's letting people know about what the show is about the card draw. People just love card draws, right? It's kind of like a mini reading. And so when they see that it's a card draw, they think that it's going to be an individual reading. And so she's just helping people to understand that it's not. And Rob is here. We've missed the snow and freezing rain here. Oh, good for you. Good for you. Oh, your sister lives in, hold A lot of messages coming in. Oh, here we go. So your sister lives in New Orleans, huh? Well, at least you know what state she's in. Yeah. Okay. Da, 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 da. Thank you, Stephanie, for posting the shows that are coming up. Rob is saying, well, we're not missing it. I know what you mean, isn't it? It's kind of a strange phrase. It's missing you. You're not missing it, right? Well, we don't have the freezing rain. I think our high today is supposed to be like 29 or 28, something like that. So, that's actually warm. It's actually warm. You can see people running around without a coat on. Well, Ann Keen, you're still in Florida. Good for you, lady. I bet it's nice and warm there, huh? Yeah. Send some warm thoughts our way. Melt some of the snow. I'm glad you're having a good time there. I've seen some of your pictures, and looks like you and your husband are resting and relaxing and having some fun. Good for you. Oh my goodness. I meant to do something this morning. Yes, Christine's birthday. Happy birthday, Christine. Yeah, I had meant to send something out this morning, and you know how the morning just kind of gets away on me sometimes. So I'll be sending something to you today, yeah, Christine. Deal me in. All right. Hitman Mary's here. Mary Anderson Fry. I know, I do too. I was just explaining that it's a Pendleton, and that it's called the Elder or Elders, something like that. It was gifted to me years ago, and I needed a backdrop here, and so Paul helped me put it up. I like it a lot. Oh my goodness. Ann says it's 85 degrees out there in Florida. Oh, lucky you. But you guys deserve it. You worked really, really hard during the beekeeping months to get that honey made and collected and all of that. So, well, we're going to do something to celebrate. That's for sure, Christine. That's for sure. Yeah. There. Okay. So this morning, George was supposed to go to puppy daycare to go play with other four-leggeds, and he loves it, right? Well, because of the snow, he couldn't go. And so I have a 7-month-old puppy who is got cabin fever. Yeah, he kind of attacked the carpet this morning while I was in the shower. It's the first time he's ever done anything destructive in the house. And it's not, hugely bad, but it's the first time he's done that. So that tells me something. We need to get him outside and play and run and to get some of that energy expended, right? I know the feeling, though, because if I have been out, it just feels like I haven't been doing much outside. And because I haven't. I've been helping a little bit with the snow removal, the shoveling. But to actually go out and play in the snow, no. No. And I should, because this is George's first winter, right? And so he loves the snow. And so I should actually go out there, get bundled up, and go out and play in the snow. Maybe after Nature Adventures, right? Because we have 2 shows back to back today. And producing both of them, this one and Nature Adventures, coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah. All right, let's get to the card. We only have one card today, and it's a card we've never had. And I left the box cover up at the Academy. So all I have is the book. It doesn't have the really cool picture in the front of it. The deck I'm using is the Druid Animal Oracle by Philip and Stephanie Cargome, illustrated by Bill Worthington. Yeah. And so, we're learning learning about Druidry through this book. And speaking, or at least I shouldn't say speaking, using words of the Gaelic language. And because it's kind of cool, they have the animal name in English, and then they have the translated into Gaelic, right? And so, and they have, thank goodness, they have a pronunciation guide at the back of the book, because otherwise there's no way I could get it right. And so I'm learning some, just the words, of the animals in Gaelic. It's kind of fun. All right, so this one is near and dear to my heart. This is Who Came This Morning, Dog. It looks like an Irish wolfhound. Those are really large dogs, like ponies, pony size, right? And he's got a collar on of sorts, making him domesticated rather than feral. And behind him looks like a cave and also water. Yeah. Those stone people in the background. Lots of faces in this one. I don't know if you guys can pick them out. I know the camera sometimes doesn't focus very well. Yeah, we got some flowers in there. And notice that all 4 feet are on the ground. He's actually sitting on the ground. Definitely grounded. His root chakra is on the earth. Yeah. So, it's funny that this week we've had a couple of what I would consider domestic, right? Well, Cat was actually a wild cat from the Scottish Highlands, but we did talk about the domestic cat a couple of times because that card came at least twice, maybe 3 times. We had Bull, which to me is kind of a domestic animal because they're taken care of by humans. Yeah, they might be out in a field kind of wild on their own, but they still depend on a human for certain things, right? Yeah, and now we have dog. We also had wolf, but that was like a week or 2 ago, and the wild canine, and now we have domestic canine. Let's see. There's stuff going on in the chat. I want to see what's going on here. Rochelle says, I can see the faces. Yeah, definitely. Hey, Vicky's here. Hello, Vicky. Good evening to you. Good evening to you over in the UK. So glad you're here with us. And Stephanie is saying lots and lots of stone people. Yeah, I agree. And, there's one would be on my right, just over the dog's left shoulder there. It almost looks like a howling dog to me. Nose up, or maybe catching a scent. But you have in the background, coming out of the cave, you have lots of faces coming out. Yeah. So what do we know about dog before we actually read about what the author gives us in the card? Dog has been with humans for millennia, right? They've been living with us for a really, really long time. They came in as protectors. They came in as companions. They came in to help with the work because here in the States, the indigenous people, Native American people, had used dogs before horses because horses were not indigenous to these lands. But dog was and still is, and they would use the dogs to pull you know, loads of belongings or whatever to move something in travois. And so Dog has been with us for a long time, helping us. And we've been their caregivers. And so we've had this long relationship with Dog. So much so in modern day, we treat our dogs almost as if they're human, right? I mean, I do. I mean, I call George my furry boy, you know. When I don't know where he is and if Paul's home, I'll ask him, "Where's our boy? Where'd he go? Too quiet." he's he's into something if he's too quiet. And we treat them like our children, right? We have a certain kind of relationship with them that we don't necessarily have with possibly other pets, like cats, or the time I can remember, because my parents had dogs. We had German shepherds. Actually, one of our dogs, his name was Lobo. He was a German shepherd, and he was our babysitter. When we would go outside, my youngest brother and I, we'd go outside, and sometimes they were always outside. They were always outside dogs. And sometimes he would be off his lead, off his chain. And when we were outside, he always stuck right with us. And to the point where we'd be playing in the sand or something, and he'd be laying next to us and breathing on us. I remember my little brother usually shoving the dog's mouth away from him because it was a hot breath and stinky. Yeah. So, we've always had dog in our life. And when we wanted to have our own dog, my mom would say that only when we were able to take care of the dog ourselves. And she meant it. She wasn't going to take care of another thing, she said. she had enough of us around. At the time, I think there was 3 of us at least at home. The older 2 had already been out on their own. But yeah, so they're dependent on us, right? And she did tell us that. You have to be able to take care of them because they can't get their own water. It's not like they live out in the wild and they can go up to a stream, or something like that. So you have to be able to water them and feed them. And if you can't do that, then you have no business having that responsibility of a dog if you can't do that. And so, but we've always had family dogs where my older brothers always took care of them. So, and my older brother always brought strays home. I don't know. Sometimes we'd have 3 or 4 dogs there until he could find their owners, Yeah. So, dog. And I noticed Rochelle put down in the chat here, she says, loyal, that's for sure. Dependent on humans as cat are very independent. Yes. Yes. And I think that comes along with the evolution of our companionship with dog, right? Because even with George, he depends on me to be his playmate. Is that we play until he plays too rough, and then it's like, okay, that's enough. And so, yeah, even for that, they depend on us, right? He does play on his own many times. And sometimes that's when he gets into trouble, right? Because he's Mr. Destructo. And so when he's outside, he's gone for too long. It's like, what's he into? What is he up to? We have a fenced in backyard, so he's basically on his own out there most of the time. But I think you're right, Rochelle. I think that there's why don't we call it interdependence that we have differently with dog than we do with cat, And yes, and the loyalty is certainly there. Once you've bonded with any pet, they have a part of your heart, right? Yeah. And so then once they're bonded, at least with dogs, it's like, they'll do anything for you. In fact, and I'm sure you guys have heard these stories before, is that, the dog will stay even if it's being abused, right? because they bonded to that human. And so they don't, they stay. Yeah. All right. And Barbie's saying if a neighbor's dog came up missing, they would always call me to see if they were here. Most of the time they were. Oh, so you were the same way, huh? You would go and take care of them, make sure that they're safe. We have dogs in our community too, in our little neighborhood here. And one of the dogs is a neighbor, lives kitty corner to us. His name is Ranger. Ranger knows very little danger because he doesn't have a fenced-in yard. Coffee. He has one of those collars. They have a fence that is electronic, and so when he comes within a certain proximity to it, it gives him a mild shock, right? And sometimes when they let him out, they forget to put his collar on. And so they're getting better at that, by the way, his humans, his two-leggeds. But sometimes I would see him running around the neighborhood. And we've taken care of him. We've gone over and fed him while they're gone for the day or on vacation. And we've gone over and played with him and that sort of thing. And so he recognized me. I went out there with a leash, and he came to me when I called him. Of course, he was playing keep away or counting coup until I actually had him to be able to come to me and click the leash on him and walked him home. And I was thinking, okay, what if nobody's home? Now what do I do, right? But their garage was open, and that's where he usually sleeps, is in the garage. And so I put him in the garage and closed the door, left them a note. But see, Barbie, that's what we do here in our little neighborhood here, is that we kind of know whose dog belongs to who. And if we see them running, it's like, we want to make sure they're safe, that they're not going to get hit by a car or attacked by another dog, right? And so we try to take care of them in our own little community here. And see, that's what I mean about we have an interdependence, I think, with dog that we don't have with others. All right, let's see what Philip Cargome has to say about dog. All right, here we go. Here's the first paragraph. The words that he uses to connect with dog is guidance, protection, and loyalty. That's guidance, protection, and loyalty. He says that the card shows a deer hound, similar to the hound portrayed in the bronze figure found at the 3rd century shrine of the healer god Nodens at Lindney, Gloucestershire. I didn't pronounce that right. Another healing sanctuary at Nettleton Shrub in Wiltshire was dedicated to Apollo, Cunomangalis, the Celtic hound lord, showing that the dog was strongly associated with healing. It's a bright summer day with a dog rose, dog daisy, dog violet, and dog periwinkle all in flower. These hot days of July and August are called the dog days because at this period the dog star Sirius rises and sets with the sun. We see a pool beside the dog, for there is a deep symbolic connection between the dog and water. So there's a lot going on here. Yes, we're talking about it being domesticated and companionship and interdependence, right? But I didn't realize how many flowers were named after dog. And it also makes me wonder if any of those plants are medicinal, herbal in nature, healing, since the dog is also connected to the healing or being a healer. The Gaelic word for dog is coo, and it's spelled C-U, but the phonetic is C-double-O, coo. So coo brings guidance and protection, acting as a loyal companion and friend on our journey in both this life and the next. In the Druid tradition, the dog is seen as the guardian of the mysteries. As such, he can be fierce, but if intentions are good, then Ku will lead us over the threshold, through the darkness and the waters of the unconscious, toward the shimmering realm of the goddess. The time may come when you need to act with the spirit of Ku to defend your values or protect that which you hold sacred. Faithfulness, trust, and loyalty are vital ingredients of close relationships, and the time may have to come for you to focus on these qualities, to develop them gradually in yourself and to appreciate them in others. So that's what the dog can teach us, right? Is that companionship and loyalty. There's nothing like when you come home from a day of out there, and your dog greets you with such enthusiasm and happiness, right? There's nothing like it. So much enthusiasm. Sometimes George practically bowls us over, right? But it's so the dog can actually bring those qualities to us, and we can learn from them about that. What's interesting is about the author mentions the dog star, the Cirrus, right? And in July is actually the Egyptian New Year, is when the dog star and this follows the sun. And the setting of it, the Nile rises during that time frame, the River Nile, and I think Isis is also involved with that. We'd have to check with Orchun on that, but there is a monument along the Nile that when the sun rises and sets, it shines on this monument, and it's actually a monument to Cirrus, the dog star. Yeah. All right, let's get caught up in the chat room here. Rob is saying, glow like plow, stir, shire. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Got to get those pronunciations correct. Anne says, unconditional love. Absolutely. Unconditional love. And depending on the breed, when they're in trouble or you raise your voice to them, you can actually see that you've hurt their feelings, right? And so they can also help us with our emotions as well. Yeah, how to express them in a positive way rather than in a negative way, right? Yeah. All right. The other thing that he says here is that they're a loyal companion in this lifetime and in the next. And I have to share that I agree with this because I've actually seen it. When my father-in-law, he passed away, he crossed over in October of 1996. And in his last months, Paul and I were with them, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. And had this connection with him. I mean, that's probably when I realized that I had this gift of being with somebody who is preparing to make their exit, right? That first part of being a spirit doula. And so anyway, there were times when my father-in-law would be sitting in the living room, and he'd be sitting there, not necessarily watching TV, but staring like out at the window. And he'd be, with his right hand, he'd be like petting somebody sitting next to him on the floor and talking to the dog, And so I'd ask him, which dog are you talking to? And he says, "Oh, Butchie came to visit." And naming, some of the other dogs that they had. And so they were there with him and keeping him company, um, as he was working his way through the last stages of lung cancer. And so, to me, it was a comforting gift that I was given to realize that they do come to us in those last stages of this physical life, to comfort us, right? Yeah. And so helping us to do that crossing over. Because he says here, lead us over the threshold through the darkness and the waters of the unconscious toward the shimmering realm of the goddess. And so they'll even walk us home. And I know, looking at the people in the chat, that you have the opportunity and the ability to sense spirit. And so how many people in the chat who have had a dog as a pet, and they are no longer with you in this physical world, they've crossed over, transitioned, or have become spirit? How many of you still see them in your home? Feel them jump on your bed? That they're still here, right here with us. And I do believe they come back. They incarnate, right? And so when our older dog Ginger, because I was with her when she took her last breath, as I was talking to her, I said, "Now remember, when you're ready to come back, you let me know. And I'll come get you," right? And so let's see, she's been gone 4.5 years is by the time we got George. But I was having dreams about little boys that turned into puppies and puppies that turned into little boys. And then when we went to go to look at the puppies of George's brothers, when I picked George up, I asked, if are you the soul that we used to call Ginger? He gave me this big wet kiss, And so I knew we were going to have a male puppy. I knew that. When I wasn't sure. And so when we're able to sense, feel, or see spirit, many times, because we're so bonded to them, that they're still with us when they're in spirit, right? Yeah. All right. Rochelle said, I've been with 5 people who've crossed over. Well, it's such a gift to be with them. Such a gift. They teach us so much at that time. Rob says, I've never been with anyone physically, but have helped a few after passing get to the light. Yeah. Well, some souls need that extra help. And so it's good that you're there to be able to do that, Rob. He says that I have not had a dog since my younger brother was born. I was not yet 3. He was allergic. Oh, well, you're coming up here in June, end of May, right? So you can be one of George's uncles. Why not? Come on up. He has a whole lot of aunties. He only has 1 or 2 uncles. So we can add you to the list, Rob. You can get some dog time, some puppy time with George. All right. So, the card didn't come in reverse, but what I'm finding is that some of the information in the section about the card in reverse is helpful to understand the essence of the card. Okay. So here's what Philip says about if it's drawn in reverse. It says the card urges you to examine the degree to which you or those around you may be lacking in faithfulness or loyalty. Ask yourself what extent you value these qualities in your friends and lovers, and to what extent you and they express these values. If you find it difficult to keep friendships, Ku, as your ally, will help you to develop the qualities of selflessness and trust that will nurture close relationships. But remember that sometimes loyalty and faithfulness can be inappropriate. A dog is often submissive and anxious to please even a cruel owner. So that some of the qualities that dog can help us with, right, is trusting, loyalty, unconditional love. The qualities that they carry when they're a power animal for us or an ally, they can help us to bring those qualities into our life or to expand those qualities, right? Yeah. Rob is giving us a smile here about spending time with George. Yep. Mr. Uppy Pay. Yes. Yeah. George, I mean, how did we even get the name George, right? Paul and I, we had gotten into this series of names with our dogs that we named them after spices. And we had sugar, and we actually had spice, and we had cinnamon, and we had ginger, right? So we were looking at for George, we were looking at what spice can be used for a male dog, right? And so we were thinking cayenne and that kind of thing. I was cleaning out the spice cabinet, and I ran because we needed some, right? And I noticed we were out of bay leaf, and so I said, "Put bay leaf on the list." And Paul goes, "So that would be a good name, bay leaf." And I said, "What are you going to call him, Bay Leaf?" And he says, "No, that kind of reminds me of It's a Wonderful Life, George Bailey, George Bayleaf." That's how we got George. And so we actually named George probably, I don't know, a good 6-8 months before we even got him. He wasn't even born yet. And so that interconnectedness, right? Yeah. Rob says the experiments leading to the theories of conditioned response and learned helplessness were conducted on dogs. Yes, they were. Pavlov's theory, to ring that bell, right? To get that treat, to get the food. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, if you're consistent, dogs can really learn a lot of commands, and not necessarily by word, by gesture, and because of they're very easy to condition. And let me tell you, they condition us too. They train us probably better than we train them, because all George has to do is just bark a certain way. Or I asked him to get a more of an inside voice. It was after we had that talk with Leslie Cernesi, because George was just barky, and he had such a deep, big voice for such a little boy, right? And so I had a conversation with him about it, and now he has more of an inside requesting voice. But there's a certain one that I tell you what, we get up and do it right away. It's like who's training who here, right? Yeah. All right. So okay, I'm going to ask the question again. So for those people who have had dogs as pets, have you ever seen them in spirit in your home? Have they come to you in your dreams? Because I agree with the author, is that they are still our companions, whether they're here in physical form or when they cross over, when they walk on. And so I'm just curious if anybody has had that experience with one of their dogs. While we wait, because it takes we have a 15-second delay. The author goes on to say that the dog is a powerful guardian. Celtic ambassadors were accompanied by dogs which acted as bodyguards, and in recognition of their role as protectors, the term dog became a title of honor given to chiefs and warriors, heroes and champions, whose names would often be prefixed by dog, the word coup. Which kind of reminded me of some of those sayings that we have about dog, right? Like the dog days, right? Those hot days, or be treated like a dog, like that was the worst thing, right? I tell you what, I'd like to be treated like we treat our dogs, because our dogs. I mean, we bought different vehicles so that we had 2 dogs at the time, so that they would have more room. We have fenced in at least 3 different homes so that they would be safe. Spent a lot of money on fencing. With Ginger, she had a special diet because she was so allergic to things that she was on a 90% raw food diet. And so every 2 weeks, Paul and I were grinding meat and vegetables, adding eggs, making her... She was healthier, had a healthier diet than we did, Yeah. Rob is saying archaeological records show that wherever human remains are found, canine remains are found with them. Yeah. And many times the dogs were buried with their owners. Yeah. I still have Sugar's ashes and Ginger's. I was going to spread Sugar's ashes where we used to live, up north in Caroline, Wisconsin, near Shawano. I was going to scatter her ashes in the Embarrass River because the center branch of the Embarrass River ran behind our house, and she loved swimming there, right? And so we went back up there to visit. This was years ago. And I had her ashes with me, and I was going to put them in the river, and I couldn't do it. I was bawling like a baby. I couldn't do it. And so she's still here with us. And why? Because they're going to get buried with me, and so they're going to stay with me until they get to be with my physical remains. So it's done a lot, huh, Rob? Barbie's saying, yes, I can be walking in my yard and I can feel one or more of the dogs walking with me. And I don't know about you, Barbie, but I certainly it makes me feel good. It's a comfort. I've had Sugar jump on the bed where I could actually see her, which I wouldn't call myself a clairvoyant because it's like it happens so quickly, right? But seeing her and kind of iridescent as she jumped on the bed, or feeling Ginger jump on the bed, right? Because sometimes she would practically trample me to try to get comfortable. And so feeling her do that, so I knew that it was Ginger, right? Yeah. And I've had people, friends, Minnie Kansman, Christine, where they've been here and they've actually seen Ginger's tail, like, go down the hallway or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. And Rob says, sorry to disappoint, but any encounters of domestic animals in spirit have thus far been kitty cats. Well, good. Well, at least you know what it feels like. Yeah. All right. So, so one of the things that Philip says is that the dog is the guardian of the mysteries, right? And so he says that the dog is champion guards more than human lives and livestock. He's the guardian animal of roads and trackways, of crossroads and gateways. Here we begin to glimpse the role of the dog as a guardian of the mysteries of the underworld. English folklore is replete with tales of the black dog, a phantom dog that presages death or patrols the networks of ancient trackways and roads and other places of transit. Just as the dog would guard its master from harm in the physical world, so in the other world would the dog protect and guide the soul of the dead. For this reason, figurines of dogs often accompanied Celts in their graves, and favorite dogs are buried with their keepers. Later dogs came to be depicted on gravestones for the same reason. Just as a faithful and loyal dog can guide a blind man through the obstacles and dangers of the physical world, so can the dog as a spirit ally guide us safely through the other world. So, that leads to another question then, right? How many people in the chat feel that they have dog as a power animal or a totem? Yeah. I would call dog for me an ally, maybe more like a power animal, but more like a familiar. Yeah. But I also believe that the soul that we called Ginger, and before that, the soul that we called Sugar, is now the soul that we call George. And that the same soul has been with us on multiple times. Yeah. Well, that's something. Rob says that his Chinese zodiac sign is the dog. So through that, then you carry some of the qualities of the dog, right? Loyalty, companionship, guardian of the mysteries. All right. No. I was going to say Anubis, but Anubis is jackal, right? It's not dog. It's a jackal. Because I was thinking about guarding the underworld. But I think that there's a folk tale about a three-headed dog, right, that guards one of the gates to the underworld. We saw it in Harry Potter. Are the hounds of hell, right? And I suppose it depends on your belief system of how you define hell. The Vikings, Nordic tradition, they don't necessarily believe that's a place to repent, right? That hell is a place of rest, where Valhalla was meant for warriors and getting prepared for Ragnarok. Hell was a place for those people who really needed to rest. So if they were elderly and they passed away, or if they had an illness and passed away, that they were sent to hell and to recuperate, and that they could choose any part of their life to relive again, in their rest and rejuvenation, right? Until they came back into a physical life. Barbie saying, interesting. I used to be a sexton for our township, and ever since then, all I've had were black lab mix. Oh, that is interesting. Huh. Zoso Sibirus in Greek. Okay. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. I just find it fascinating. I do. This relationship that we have with dog, and how this card comes to us today. The essence of this card of dog coming to us to bring that quality of loyalty and companionship. Maybe what it's like to be in a long-term friendship companionship, to realize unconditional love, right? And be in our lives to be able to help us to learn those traits or to nurture those traits within us, right? Bringing us that opportunity. And even if you don't have a physical dog, you may have a dog as a power animal or a totem, or as Rob said, in Chinese zodiac, he's a dog, right? Yeah. Yeah. And so what does that bring for us today, right? Yeah. I think that it helps us. It helps us um, to zero in on that. Here's the last paragraph that I think is really interesting. It says the connection between dogs and water is ancient. Many goddesses of the Celts and Druids were depicted with dogs as companions. Lakes, pools, and the sea were all seen as gateways to the other world, and as guardians and guides of this realm, were often depicted as going into the sea. By entering the sea or a lake in the legend, the dog is seen as entering the magical other world of the unconscious, of dreams, of life after death, in which all things are renewed and healed, and in which we find immortality. I kind of like that. Kind of brings into focus too a little bit about the term sea dog, the old sea dog. You think, oh, now we have a different way of understanding that term, sea dog. The guardians of that gateway, right? Interesting stuff. And so we have to be thankful to Spirit for bringing us the qualities of dog to us today. And so we can kind of see where in our lives do the qualities of the Spirit being is in our life, or how it can be, right? Yeah. And I'm just looking at the time. We have Nature Adventures on at 3:00 at the top of the hour. So I'm going to have to scoot pretty soon to be able to start the studio for that particular show. But I wanted to say about dog is that we have this long-term relationship with the spirit and the essence of dog. It is something that is become a very intertwined, interconnected, interdependent relationship. And like I said, you don't necessarily have to have a physical dog, but to have, whether it's a totem or a power animal, an ally, a familiar, a zodiac sign, to bring in the qualities of dog. And just to refresh your memories, it's guidance, protection, and loyalty. It's about companionship. Yeah. Hey, Polly Joe's here. Better late than never. That's right. That's right. And so whatever we shared today about the essence of dog, if it resonated with you, I just encourage you to embrace it. And then see, feel, sense how the energy is unfolding for you today and where this information could be helpful to you. And if it didn't resonate, don't worry about it. It's okay. You're not going to hurt no one's feelings because you said, hey, I didn't get that one. It's all right. There's always tomorrow and tomorrow's card. And we still have a very busy week here at Star Nations. And the next show coming up, Nature Adventures, with my good friend and sister, Minnie Kansman. We're co-hosts with that show. We're going to be talking about the sacred element of air. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. So if you can join us for that, that would be great. I'm going to let you guys go a little bit early here so that if you need to grab something to drink or head to the restroom, the bathroom, and come back and join us, please do. And then tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time is Polly Joe LeBay with Soul Connections. It's an evening of healing and divine messages. And I tell you what, it's a powerful evening. be there for that healing meditation. And so we'll see you. And Thursday, don't forget Thursday, we have a free mini class coming up at the Academy closed group here at Facebook. It's all about soul contracts, right? Right. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern for the daily live stream and the group card draw. Right. All right. So Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.